For many people trained in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, immigration is not just paperwork. It is the critical bridge between years of study and the chance to solve real problems, build new tools, care for patients, and create companies that move entire industries forward. But right now, for the international students, engineers, physicians, researchers, and founders trying to build a future in the United States, that bridge is undergoing a massive stress test. We are witnessing a high-stakes collision of major developments affecting high-skilled workers, including the new H-1B specialty occupation visa registration season, sudden filing changes, rising processing costs, and even university hiring restrictions. In this video, we are bringing you two crucial stories. First, we will uncover the journey of a real immigrant in technology whose legal limitations severely delayed his dream, but ultimately did not defeat it. Then, we will break down the absolute most important current immigration developments and roadblocks you need to navigate right now to protect your career. Make sure to stick around until the very end of the video, where we will do a rapid-fire Q&A, answering 5 critical, detailed questions about how these exact changes impact your daily life and legal strategy. But behind the paperwork and the panic, there is one massive question that we will answer by the very end of this video. A country can attract brilliant people, but if it makes their long-term path too rigid or too slow, is it risking delaying the exact innovation it says it wants?
Before we dive into the untold realities of the STEM visa pipeline, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. It is the best way to ensure you never miss our deep dive investigations and critical updates on the immigration strategies that matter most to your future. We want to hear from you right now. Have you or someone you know ever felt like your legal limitations delayed your professional dreams, even when you knew you had the talent to succeed? Drop your experiences in the comments below.
From visa limits to building companies, we begin with a story that perfectly captures the tension between extreme talent and restrictive bureaucracy. One of the clearest recent examples of a STEM immigrant turning obstacles into success is software entrepreneur Jody Bansal. Bansal moved from India to the United States in the year 2000 on an H-1B specialty occupation visa. In his own account, he explained that he came to the United States to learn about startups and to be in Silicon Valley, where the energy of innovation was absolutely impossible to ignore. But Bansal's journey was not built on instant freedom. Like many highly skilled immigrants, he discovered that the exact same system that allowed him to work in the country did not allow him to move as freely as he wanted professionally. In his telling, the real constraint holding him back was not effort or ability, it was timing. He could contribute, but he could not yet fully build on his own terms. This tension appears most clearly in a highly resonant quote from Bansal. He stated, "The challenge, unfortunately, is if you're on an H-1B visa, you're not allowed to start a company and create more jobs," which I find very ironic. That line captures a harsh contradiction many STEM professionals have felt. The United States consistently attracts highly trained builders, but immigration categories can severely delay the moment when those builders are free to become founders, hire teams, and expand their economic impact. The turning point came years later, and Bansal described it in direct and memorable language. In a first-person account of his path, he wrote, "When I finally got my green card, I quit my job and started my own company." That single sentence is powerful because it connects legal status directly to economic output. The issue was never whether he had the skill, discipline, or ambition to build something meaningful. The issue was exactly when the legal system would finally allow him to act on that ambition in full. Once that barrier was removed, He moved incredibly quickly. What followed is now part of the public record. He founded AppDynamics, which became one of the most prominent software performance monitoring companies of its era, and Cisco agreed to buy it for $3.7 billion in 2017. He later co-founded Harness, which reached a reported $5.5 billion valuation in late 2025. These are not just numbers. They reflect massive job creation and value generated after a long period in which his legal path was narrower than his professional potential. His story matters in a broader national context. The National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine warned in 2024 that the United States needs a clearer strategy to recruit and retain international STEM talent. Committee Chair Mark A. Bartow emphasized this urgency, stating that the government should act to ensure the United States remains a magnet for STEM talent from around the world. Bansal's experience proves why that warning matters. If a country makes the long-term path for brilliant people too rigid or slow, it risks delaying the very innovation it desperately says it wants. When looking at cases like this, people often wonder how to navigate the waiting game. We posed a direct question to an expert on this exact struggle. We asked attorney Chris M. Ingram, what does a story like Jody Bansal's mean for a young engineer, researcher, or founder who feels stuck in the middle of a slow immigration process? And he answered, your visa category may define the rules around you for a season, but it does not define your worth or your future. If you keep building your skills, your record, and your credibility, you are still preparing for the moment when opportunity and timing finally meet. We want to know, are you currently waiting on a visa transition to finally launch your own big idea? Let us know your field of expertise in the comments. The real lesson here is profound. Immigration delays can slow movement, but they absolutely do not erase excellence. A person may begin as a student, a sponsored worker, or a temporary visa holder, but that is not the end of the story. Sometimes, it is simply the beginning of something much bigger. If you are navigating these complex immigration hurdles, you don't have to do it alone. The right legal guidance can be the difference between a rejection and a breakthrough. Visit breakthroughusa.com right now to start your visa journey. You can book a free consultation with the law offices of Chris M. Ingram and get the clarity you need to move forward with confidence.
Crucial immigration updates for STEM workers. The current immigration moment is incredibly volatile. For STEM professionals, several massive developments are colliding all at once, and the stakes could not be higher. The most immediate red alert is the fiscal year 2027 H-1B registration season. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services announced that the initial registration period opened at noon Eastern Time on March 4, 2026, and runs strictly through noon Eastern Time on March 19, 2026. For employers and beneficiaries, this is not just background noise, it is one of the most important timing windows of the year. But this cycle comes with a major structural shakeup. It is the very first H-1B season operating under the new weighted selection rule that became effective on February 27, 2026. This rule fundamentally changes how registrations are selected. Outside analysis from the Penn Wharton budget model concluded that the new system will likely shift allocation toward better paid and more highly educated applicants. For STEM audiences, this completely changes the competitive logic of the entire process. At the exact same time, the filing process itself has been rewritten. On February 27, 2026, the agency released a new edition of Form 1129. Beginning April 1, 2026, they will accept only this new edition. In practical terms, this means a perfectly strong case can be outright rejected simply if the wrong edition of the form is used. Cost is also becoming a severe pain point. Premium processing fees officially increased on March 1st, 2026. While it does not guarantee approval, premium processing helps manage urgent job changes and start dates. With this service becoming more expensive, startups, smaller companies, and universities are feeling the intense financial pressure. Speaking of universities, a major disruption to the STEM pipeline just made headlines. On March 3rd, Reuters reported that Florida's public universities would temporarily halt hiring foreign faculty members using the H-1B program for new employees all the way until January 5th, 2027. To truly understand how drastically these changes reshape the landscape, let's make this real. Meet Dave and Mary. Dave is a highly specialized AI engineer, making $400,000 a year at a massive tech firm. Mary is a brilliant postdoctoral researcher, making $80,000 a year. Under the old H-1B system, which was fully random, Dave and Mary had the exact same chance of being selected. But this fiscal year 2027 registration cycle operates under the new weighted selection rule. The Penn-Wharton budget model concluded that this system likely shifts allocation toward better paid and more highly educated applicants. Because Dave's salary is incredibly high, his application is heavily prioritized, and he easily secures his spot. Mary, on the other hand, is left out. Even worse, if Mary was planning to work at a public university in Florida, she would hit a total roadblock. Those universities have temporarily halted hiring foreign faculty members using the H-1B program for new employees all the way until January 5th, 2027. Dave moves forward, Mary's career is put on pause. Beyond campuses, broader policy shifts are causing real-world harm. The administration was recently sued over a pause on immigrant visa processing, affecting citizens of 75 countries. One of the plaintiffs was a fully approved endocrinologist from Colombia who could not receive her visa because of the policy. While these roadblocks mount, the U.S. is heavily bleeding talent. The National Foundation for American Policy stated in March 2026 that the U.S. labor force had lost 596,000 foreign-born workers since January 2025. Pushing back against the narrative that skilled immigrants take jobs, labor economist Mark Regetz explicitly stated, "Most economic research shows that immigration increases employment opportunities for the U.S.-born." With so much changing so fast, we asked for clear, actionable advice. We asked attorney Chris M. Ingram, what should STEM professionals focus on when the headlines start to feel confusing or overwhelming? And he advises, focus first on what is operationally real in your own case, your dates, your current status, your employer's readiness, and your long-term options. Immigration news becomes much easier to manage when you translate it into practical next steps. We want to know which of these new developments, the H-1B weighted rule, the fee increases, or the university hiring freezes, worries you the most right now. Let's discuss it in the comments. The bottom line for this news cycle is that the system is moving rapidly. Rules are shifting, forms are changing, and costs are rising. For STEM immigrants, the most practical response is to stay informed early, not after a critical deadline has already passed.
Before we resolve today's big question, let's dive straight into our rapid-fire Q&A to answer 5 critical questions about the developments we just uncovered. Question 1. What are the exact dates for the current H-1B registration window? The initial registration period officially opened at noon Eastern Time on March 4th, 2026, and runs strictly through noon Eastern Time on March 19th, 2026. Question 2. What happens if an employer uses the wrong Form I-129? Beginning April 1st, 2026, the agency will accept only the February 27, 2026 edition. In practical terms, that means a perfectly strong case can still be rejected simply if the wrong edition of the form is used. Question 3. Who does the new H-1B weighted selection rule actually favor? Outside analysis from the Penn-Wharton budget model concluded that the new rule will likely shift allocation toward better paid and more highly educated applicants compared with the older, fully random system. Question 4. Are universities scaling back on international hiring? In some places, yes. Reuters reported that Florida's public universities would temporarily halt hiring foreign faculty members using the H-1B program for new employees until January 5, 2027. Question 5. Do foreign-born STEM workers take opportunities from U.S.-born workers? No. Labor economist Mark Regetz stated that most economic research shows that immigration actually increases employment opportunities for the U.S.-born. We started this video with one massive question. If the United States makes the long-term path for brilliant people too rigid or too slow, is it risking delaying the exact innovation it says it wants? The answer, based on the reality of the STEM pipeline, is an absolute yes. A country can attract the most brilliant minds on the planet, but a system that severely limits builders ultimately limits building. However, for the engineers, researchers, physicians, and founders living through this friction, the right response is not panic, it is relentless preparation. If you found this investigation valuable, hit that like button and subscribe so you do not miss part 2 of this series, where we expose the brutal global competition for STEM talent and the exact policy mechanics shaping your future. Visit breakthroughusa.com today to book your free consultation with the law offices of Chris M. Ingram. Do not let the system delay your dreams. Take action and start your visa journey right now.